Hello and welcome to a very special episode 268 of the Random Nintendo Podcast. I'm Jason, and normally this is where you would then hear I'm Angel, I'm Kevin, and the three of us would proceed to talk about the latest news, share impressions of games, and you know, that was the plan. We were going to talk about Mario Party Superstars. We were going to talk about the Zelda Game & Watch. We were going to talk about new MPD sales numbers. Did you know the Switch is back on top? You would have heard it if you didn't. But then something kind of happened, and that something is our 10th anniversary. So this episode, this weekend, marks 10 years of the Random Nintendo Podcast, of Random Nintendo in its current form. And we were going to split this episode into something kind of special. We are going to have a normal upfront with impressions and news and whatnot, and then we are going to make a little warp pipe sound into a pre-recorded conversation with everyone who's ever been on the podcast, which is really just two more people. But nonetheless, we're going to do this cool thing, and it was going to be a two-part episode, like a two-halves episode. And then we just had so much fun with the bigger group that we just kept eating into the time of the regular episode. So instead of two halves making a whole, we have one half that is a whole, which means this episode will not have the usual news, will not have the usual impressions. Any references to those, please disregard. But instead, we're going to be just doing a freewheeling look back at 10 years of Nintendo. There's no timestamps for this episode on the blog post as a result, but you should still probably go check it out because we are giving away $100 in eShop credits over the next 6 or so weeks in honor of the anniversary, and it all kicks off with a contest in that blog post with your comment being the chance to win. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Stick around to the end for those contest details, and with that, I will now turn it over to me. Okay, welcome to our random Nintendo. Hey, get it? Because it's anywhere. Welcome to our roundtable. As you know, this weekend marks the 10-year anniversary of our little podcast, and to celebrate, we are doing our own extended Ram Nintendo universe, if you will. Anyone who has ever been a voice on this show is here with us now. We're going to have a little retrospective chat about the past 10 years of Nintendo and maybe the podcast too. So, to do a quick introductions for those listening, obviously we here know each other pretty well. This is a big part of our friend group right here. But for those at home, I guess I'll just do a roll call of sorts, and maybe since this episode is a celebration and we're already talking about Mario Party Superstars in the regular part of the show, maybe along with saying hi, you can mention your all-time favorite Mario Party game as well. For me, it's Mario Party 2, for what it's worth. So, first up, we have the co-founder of the Random Nintendo Podcast and fellow host since day one. He's been there for every show alongside me. He's a Bowser fanboy and a firm believer that we only have so much time in this world. It's Angel.
Not even a belief. I mean, it's a fact. But yeah, that's me.
That's him. Now, wait, what's your favorite Mario Party?
I mean, definitely part 3, easily. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'm curious how different our answers are going to be. And that voice, speaking of, is next on our list. It's our official third chair who's been in that role for just over 2 years now. Most of you just heard him 5 minutes ago on the regular part of this episode. But he's been our third chair since episode 208 in August of 2019. And before that, you just came and went. You were here in like 2016 and 15. But anyway, he's really the mastermind behind Random Non-Tendo, or Everything But Nintendo Sideshow. It's Kevin.
Yeah, we still call it Quarantine Chronicles internally, but
yes,
just saying.
We do. It's confusing because we changed the brand out of nowhere.
2 years, huh?
yeah.
Jesus.
And what's your
it's
Mario
only for
Party?
like one. Mario Party 4.
Really?
It's the best Mario Party.
Okay. It had a good ad campaign. I don't know why I remember that, but they had like costume Marios running, or Mario characters running around on trampolines.
Bowser was pretty dope.
Yeah, right. See, Bowser fanboy Angel right there.
Well,
anyway, next on
with a close second, but I have to give it to
Mario Party 10, the car one.
The one with Bowser.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean the car. Yeah. Okay. The Bowser.
The car's still there, but I don't play as the car.
Yeah, but
I play as Bowser. Everyone else cannot have fun, but I'll have fun.
That really sums up the last decade of the pot. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, third up, we have the previously closest thing we had to a third chair before Kevin. He popped up on the show as early as episode 8 in 2012 to give us impressions of the then new Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D, if anyone remembers that being a thing. It's the most name-dropped man in our podcast history. Hello, Elvis.
It's insane that you remember what I talked about.
I had to look it up. I'm not going to pretend I know what happened 9 years ago, dude. There's no way. But yeah, it's been a while.
I remember that was the first thing you talked about.
Mm-hmm. I didn't remember, but the moment you mentioned it, I remembered being on that podcast.
And I think you were on and off up Animal Crossing roughly. So you had a good run. And then last but not least, we have the man who may be the most alluded to on the show without actually saying his name.
My favorite Mario Party is...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, what's your favorite Mario Party?
Terrible host. Let's get Kevin back on.
Man. Yeah. What is it, Elvis?
I was gonna also say 3 was Angel.
Oh,
I agree with but
It'd be
last
a
Notice
pleasure.
this is our opinion, and we're not saying it's like the best overall Mario Party. I don't know why people get on like.
I mean, because opinions can be wrong. I mean, by definition, they. But anyway, last but not least, I started to say we have the man who is the most alluded to without ever actually saying his name on the show. He's part of our Splatoon and Knockout City weekly game nights. He's part of many of our in-person gaming events. He was in exactly one episode of the show, episode 20, when we attended Comic-Con for the first time in like 2012, and we
He
played
got
the
out while
Wii
he
U
still
before it
could.
came out. He got while he still could. It is Nigel.
Hey, no, happy to be back. I'm sure the random Nintendo fans have been clamoring for my return, so happy to be here. If I had to pick a Mario Party, it'd probably be Mario Party 3 on the 64, right? Just because I played a lot with my cousins. So
Wow, Mario Party 3 with a
Dude,
clear
what are you
lead tonight.
saying?
Oh, 3.
Wow. I did not expect that. I honestly expected everyone to pick a totally different one, but I don't know. It's fun. I don't even own 2, but it's still my favorite. But I do own 3, and it's not my favorite, so I don't even know how that works. but oh, Nigel, one thing I didn't mention about you were the man who planted the seed to make this whole show possible. Do you remember that in college?
I think so. I mean, I remember we'd all talked
so
about
you're who
just
to
like.
blame.
Yeah, literally.
he's the
Yeah,
real.
that's why I've only been on one episode, and that's why you don't say my name. I'm like, what is it, Voldemort? Like, oh, that dude, you don't want to say his name. Yeah, no, I know we talked about it, and I think when y'all first started, I was like, oh, they're actually going to do it. But here we are 10 years later. So, yeah, I'll take all the credits, all the infamy. I'm okay with it.
I remember how you brought it up. The Wii U was unveiled at E3, and everyone's like, what is this, an accessory for the Wii? And
I remember
Angel
watching
and I
that
were
video
talking
with y'all.
about. Yeah, and then we went and got lunch, and Angel and I wouldn't stop talking about it, and you just turned to us and just go, can you guys just like do this on a podcast already? Like, you're talking about it anyways. Put a mic in for you or something like that. So.
It was actually a very like passive.
Just imagine us getting really pissed off.
Passive aggressive Nigel is just like, why don't you guys just do a podcast, man? Then I can
I
refute
swear
this.
to God.
Yeah. And
So not that we were a part of it, but I remember where the Wii U was announced. I was in
Everyone just
our
remembers.
AP stat. Me and
remember where you
Elvis were in AP stats when the Wii U was announced. I remember that day clear as day because
is it like a where were you?
They have to raise their hand and like, teacher, I need a minute.
No,
And then you left the room.
I think it was like
I need to walk
school
this
year
out.
because everybody was just walking around the room just talking to each other. Armando was there. We were on IGN and we're looking at it like, where does the disc go? And we were just all confused by that thing because they never showed the actual console. They just showed the tablet.
Yeah, it was super misleading. I mean, even
it was in the video, but they never like acknowledged it. It was just there.
I mean, even like Angel and I, who were just as
Just
Nintendo focused
now,
then as
never
now.
acknowledged just the Wii U.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, we were sitting there like, this is a new system, right? Like, we knew it was supposed to be, but we couldn't figure out like how. So, but yeah, now 10 years later, here we all are. For everyone's reference, we're talking 302 episodes later between the core show and random Nintendo / Quarantine Chronicles. That's over 20 gigs of compressed voice streaming out of your speakers of us for a combined total of 35,789 minutes of talking. That's 24 straight days, 20 hours, and 24 minutes. That's just shy of a month of us
total,
talking.
though?
How many hours total? I didn't calculate that. I just did. Well, you can do math. 24
By
times
60.
24.
By 60. Like, that's right.
Well, okay, I'll pull out a calculator. Here we go.
That's like the most important stat.
Yeah, why?
I can't believe
Minutes,
days.
this
What?
and stat.
Wait, no, I gave you minutes
easiest
and
one.
days and hours and minutes. It's
You gave
24
us-
days
yeah.
worth. Fine. Why you need
Yeah, I just want the hours. Oh, okay.
Again, translates to
Sounds
almost
so
a
good.
full month.
I
Without
thought
Nintendo and a little bit of
it'd be-
non-Nintendo.
I guess because we record every other week, and I guess it's obviously ramped up more since we had random Nintendo. But I honestly expected it to be, I don't know why, but like in the 1,000 hours, because Smash has only been out for Ultimate for how many years? 3, And that-
2? No, 3. Yeah.
and that has like about 900 hours on it. I don't know, I just thought this would be. We've definitely put in more than 900
Oh,
hours. I'm
yeah.
guessing.
Yeah.
So, oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, some of those recording sessions were definitely like double or triple that, because one time it was almost double, or was it double? The Rhythm Heaven night that we actually had to re-record.
Oh
An
man,
episode?
that was Yeah, that was in
Maybe
2012.
that's one to bring up later when we get to that.
Yeah, that was in 2012, but we went to an event. We had some drinks. We sobered up. We came back. It was like 2 a.m. We're like, we need to record. And then we almost lost. We had to redo the whole thing, I think. So it was like 4 a.m. when we were done or something like that. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's on average, we've done like hour and a half, 2 hour episodes. But our longest one, it turns out, they're usually the E3 ones, but one of our absolute longest outside of E3 or one where like a direct intersects with financials was you guys, Angel and Kevin, talking about Last of Us Part 2 on Quarantine Chronicles for like an hour straight. The whole episode is 2 hours and 34 minutes. The only thing that's topped that literally is like some of our E3 shows. So, which I think our longest was 2:45 or something like nearly 3 hours. That's the length of like Eternals. So that's a meaty podcast. But anyway, over the years, with all that talking and things, we also did, we went through 3 different theme songs, 4 if you count Nintendo's, 5 if you count Charles Martinet doing an intro for us as Mario. We went through 4 Nintendo consoles, the tail end of the Wii, the 3DS, the Wii U, the Switch. I don't even want to think about how much money we spent on Nintendo products in that 10-year frame. But, within all of that stuff going on, there are, of course, favorites that came along with all this and a lot of experiences. And I think collectively, this group here, we've done a lot from attending Comic-Cons and E3s to launch events to tournaments to Rhythm having events where they served alcohol, like we were just saying, to, just hanging out and having game nights. Like, I still pretty distinctly remember the big Nintendo Land get-together we did, like that Thanksgiving weekend when it first came out. So I guess to sort of kick it off with some retrospective, I'm curious if you guys have any particularly fond or favorite memories, be it doing Nintendo things collectively somewhere or just a game you had, or, what are some of your, like, Nintendo highlights these past 10 years in terms of events or memorable moments? Don't all jump in at once.
Let's have one of our special guests go up first.
Yeah, I'll go. I think, when it comes to the group, I've probably played the least amount of Nintendo games and have owned the least amount of Nintendo consoles. I mean, if you look at the past 10 years, the only thing I've had is a Switch. So I think for me, the Switch has been the biggest thing to get me back into gaming. I used to be roommates with Angel in college, and obviously Jason was there too, but I had an Xbox 360 and I got that towards the tail end of its, life cycle, and I got all the cheap games. So the Switch was the first game to our first system where I actually bought it at full price, and
it even made me money.
It made me money.
It made money.
Remember $5 from Jason?
Oh God. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, no, that is right. I'm net positive on this thing. There you go.
All right, who wants to tell that story?
Fun fact for all the viewers. We went to Comic-Con one year. The first year the Switch was out, we all had one. We were looking to play Splatoon 2, which was coming out. We had to download it. So we were trying to connect to the internet, or at least the hotel Wi-Fi. And I was very adamant that you could connect to a Wi-Fi network, that you needed to go to a splash page to connect. Splash page comes up, you click, I agree to your terms, blah, blah, blah. Jason was very adamant that you could not, very adamant enough to bet $5. And he lost.
And every Comic-Con since, there's that $5 in Nigel's badge holder, signed by me. Mm-hmm. So he remembers. So he reminds me of the time I got the Nintendo thing wrong.
And that's my greatest Switch memory. That was my greatest Switch memory. No, but I mean, all seriousness.
Well, hold on. There is another. You've messed with me a few times with Nintendo stuff. Honestly, there's that. There was when we hung out with Kit and Krista from Nintendo Minute at that hotel suite. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, the hotel suite with a bunch of kids, and we were the adults. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I remember
we were playing.
That was a great one.
They were playing Super Mario Maker 2.
You guys gotta re-say that again. I'm sorry, you were hanging out with what? A bunch of kids?
Yeah,
were
so
you guys college students at this point?
No, this was
no.
Last year.
This is 2019
or 20.
This is the last Comic-Con.
Yeah, so we were Nintendo Minute was doing an Comic-Con event. Kit and Krista from Nintendo Minute, and I feel like the podcast has crossed paths with Kit before. He actually helped us organize an interview with a Breath of the Wild voice actor, Sean Chiplock, years ago. But either way, they were doing a thing. We're let's just sign up. It's first come, first serve, whatever. And we go up there.
For our viewers, I'm very good at making Jason do.
Oh yeah, so I was we don't need to. He's he's
I'm always Jason, let's just do it.
Nigel's a very persuasive and a very positive energy. It's hard to say no. So we go do it, and we go up there. And there's a bunch of kids.
Weird way to preface the story. Nigel's very convincing that you can't say no.
Yep. But anyway, so we do go up there, and it's a bunch of kids and Kit and Krista, and they're everyone's working on a level. Ultimately, go up on at that point, the game was out for a week, and I at that point had only played other people's levels. I didn't mess with the tools yet. So Nigel's like they're passing around the controller, and I was like, Jason will do it in front of all these children, and I could not, for the life of me, I was like, I don't know.
Or roasting him. Roasting him.
And like pass it to nah, dude.
Nah, I'm cool, man.
Okay. Yeah, and then
I think a kid was like ready to take the controller out of Jason's hand. That's how bad this was.
Because I didn't try that. Coached it, so yeah. So that was a memory.
Yeah, that's almost as bad. I mean, speaking of Comic-Con, might as well keep it rolling. But I remember, like, Elvis, Jason and I, we were watching Jason demo Hyrule Warriors.
That's the one I was going to say.
But, I mean, you're probably better off telling it because I might remember this part. But I remember he was just doing terribly. And basically, like, the dude that was, like, hosting, well, you know, watching the people do the demo.
The demo.
Representative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the demo rep. Yeah, he was like, yeah, this is like the worst performance I've seen. But
he's like, you're the only person to die. That's straight up what he said to me. Now, in my defense,
interesting for him. He never thought he'd see anyone fail the demo.
Yeah, he was having the time of his life, so he's welcome, really. But no, the reason I feel like I'm just sitting here defending my gamer credibility, but that really is what 10 years of this podcast is. So the reason that happened was he didn't tell me that you could use Z targeting in Hyrule Warriors.
Oh,
and I went in.
You could Z target in a 3D Zelda game?
I didn't know I could Z target in a Dynasty Warriors spin-off. I was thinking because it's Dynasty Warriors, it's not going to work like that. No.
Wait, how much of a vet are you in Dynasty Warriors? You're like, oh, Dynasty Warriors don't have Z targeting. And I thought, well, try.
It's more like the guy never said it, so I assumed it wasn't there. It's an easy enough explanation. Like he gave me every other button except that one, so I just didn't know. I don't know. I will say after that, anytime I demo a game at an event for a little while, like the next year or so, I'd always be like super conscious of who's watching me play. Because I was like, what if I forget the button again at some other game? So you guys actually like ruined demos for me for a brief period of time, even though you had nothing to do with it. So I don't know why I did it.
Like we didn't play it.
But yeah. But there's also the time, speaking of Nigel being persuasive, that we one of the cool things we got to do collectively is we went to this Wii U like pre-launch party thing. It was like September before it came out, like 2 months before it came out, and they took over like a soundstage in Hollywood, and we actually did a contest, and one of our listeners came along, which was kind of cool. But they had what was the singing game on Wii U? The karaoke game, was it called Sing?
I think it was called Sing,
like the movie.
It was a very basic.
Yeah, but they had like a room where you could do karaoke. And I'm not wanting to do karaoke, and sure enough, Nigel dragged me in, and I think we did "Call Me Maybe," right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was the song of the summer.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, we had it for about 9 months at that point.
Oh damn.
But yeah, I feel like all these stories are like making me look bad. Are there any stories or any fun memories from events that you guys have that don't necessarily directly involve me? Possibly, Angel. Do you have anything? Kevin?
Sorry, man.
Anyone? Cool. So I'm the centerpiece of the story of the memories.
Well, I think some of my favorite memories, at least over the last 10 years, always watching Angel play Smash Brothers and kick all these nerds' butts at Comic-Con. That was always fun. I guess that's not Switch though. That's more like Wii, I guess, right? Was it on the Wii or the GameCube? Something like that.
Yeah, which version did you end up playing the most?
Like overall? Or
At these events.
Oh, no, it was definitely the Switch version for the last 3 years. Before that, it was the Wii U version.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So it was like the Wii U and then the Switch one once that one became available. But basically the same game, basically.
But that's been such a core part of your experiences, though. Is like different tournaments at different events, even E3.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was definitely a tournament that came about from the podcast that I don't think I would have entered as many. The Smash Brothers ones, maybe. You could probably say I probably would have entered those, but I definitely would not have bothered going to the Long Beach Convention Center to participate in the regional Pokemon tournament.
Oh, right.
I forgot the full name of it. But that was really fun. I mean, I won 5 out of my 9 games or something like that. But I didn't qualify any higher because I lost the first 4 or the first 3 like back to back. Then I won 1, then I lost 1, and then I won the last 3 or 4 or whatever. So, like the ratio, like by then, because it's Swiss format, you're just going to be paired with like the people who lost and then that lost. But it was fun. And I know I wrote an article about that. And I mean, definitely I can't not mention Rhythm Heaven. Like that event probably wouldn't have been on my radar if it wasn't for the podcast as well. Because we were kind of on the look we were always on the look for these like just random pop-up events. Just any Nintendo event were video game related. I mean, we went to the Street Fighter art gallery. We went to the PlayStation All Stars preview, the Rhythm Heaven preview on the same building, I believe, as well.
Don't forget,
and then the Rugrats thing was also there, but that wasn't Nintendo related. But it was also, I Am 8-Bit was pretty popping for a couple years, and then nothing.
It's still there. They just they don't do that.
Yeah, but I think that like appealed to us right away.
Don't forget the time we went to a random bar to play Tetris. Do you remember that?
Yeah, where we won Elvis's red 3DS.
Yeah, Elvis has a 3DS because of us going to cover Tetris at an event.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, we went to like, it was a bar. It's supposed to be like this Tetris pop-up. I don't really know what the idea on Nintendo's end was. Actually, you finish your story and then we'll circle back to that one. You're going to talk with him.
It was just I was just talking about the bar. No, there was just a 50-50 chance. Like, they asked me and like 4 or 5 other people trivia questions. Well, one trivia question, really. They just said, like, on the original Tetris for Game Boy, which button will rotate the tetrimino clockwise?
Oh, so it's
yeah, so like, without even knowing the answer, like, I just immediately like raised my hand just to like be the first one to get a chance to respond.
That's smart.
And then I just said A. Like, it was just a guess, and they're like, "You got it," and I'm like, "Cool." Like, I was like,
"That's so smart."
That's like the best question I could have asked.
To be clear, there was a total of 4 or 5 people at the event, so it was everyone participating. Because that was the weirdest. Like, I don't know what they were necessarily thinking with that. But it was like, come play Tetris in 3D in a bar. Like, who were they appealing to?
Wasn't Kit there?
Kit, what? Oh, yeah. Speaking of Kit crossing paths with us, that was before he became like a public face at Nintendo. Yeah. He was just a PR person then. And he was just like hanging out in the corner because, again, nothing was going on. It was like we were the only 2 there for a while. It was like us and some candlelit 3D.
Do you ever send them like a letter just saying, or
like
a message somewhere and be like, "I'm proud of you, dude"? And
I mean, I've talked to him at E3 and stuff, and when I awkwardly couldn't play Mario, I have his email.
You pat him on the shoulder, and you're like, "I knew you could do it."
I'm like, "Hey, remember when you were in that dark bar, sitting by yourself, watching people play Tetris Effect by candlelight? I knew you'd make it beyond that one day." Yeah, no, I've never said that to him. But Rhythm Heaven, Angel
now.
Yeah.
But I mean, Rhythm Heaven was cool. I mean, by that point, I was already like neck deep into Rhythm Heaven. The DS one had already been out for many years. We knew that Wii one was coming eventually, but it was released in Japan early. And I remember the September that it came out in Japan. We found a way to play the Japanese version. I played that one to death. And of course, when the American version came out the following February, that's when we went to that event and managed to play all those mini games again. But by that point, I already had basically mastered them, and we managed to get a couple freebies. Oh, the shirt was really awesome. That was the one I guess that they actually gave us. Everything else, we just managed to get what we can get. We couldn't get a plushie that people just took. By the end of it, everyone stripped everything.
It was like a feeding frenzy by the end.
Yeah, I think someone just asked, like, are they doing anything with these things? And like, oh no, we're just gonna store them away. And I think as soon as someone heard that, they're like, yeah, I'm taking this like seal pillow or plushie.
It's mob mentality, like once one person does it.
And then when we thought that like things were going and like all that was left was just like earphone magnets or headphone magnets, we just took them.
I think we're past statute limitations.
On
those crimes. So I think we could. But yeah, we might have some contraband, some Rhythm Heaven contraband.
Yeah, and it's funny because of that technique that I guess we developed. And we ended up with a couple of headphone magnets. From when?
Dude, you started taking them from everything. You took them from a Phoenix Wright booth. You took them from a Monster Hunter booth. You took them from.
I wasn't gonna Hitman, but yeah, I wasn't gonna say which ones, but yeah.
Well, Square Enix / IDOS and Capcom, here's your man. Come get him. He's right here. But this was all like in the early years.
That they're compatible with.
That's the worst part. They're just like random faceplates that don't do anything.
Yeah, they're just on a metal cabinet, which is fine. I mean, they're always on display.
I've always wondered what those were.
Yeah, see, they're literal they're video game event contraband. I look at them
like, hey, that's cool. I've never seen any kind of merch like this before.
Because it's not really merch.
A big ass magnet / button.
What happens is when you do a podcast, kind of like, you feel like powerful. You feel like you have some star power and you can do what you want and you steal headphone things. It's just how it goes. Because I was in like the first 2 years.
And you're like, whoa, I thought I was going to get caught. Let's get another one.
It was all very early foreshadowing of what would happen with like 10 years later, where one person does it, then another person does it, the next thing you know, no one's house to it. It turned out there wasn't a need to rush it. Like there wasn't a need to take the seal pill.
Hey, were they stealing it? They were just buying it in bulk, right?
Yeah, but the idea of like, once they get like someone's doing it, I need to do it too, like the mad dash.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
yeah.
So would you say that was your favorite Nintendo event, Angel, or favorite Nintendo memory was stealing headphone faceplates?
No, I would say probably the Rhythm Heaven, just because that felt kind of like a once in a lifetime thing, just because of how little, I guess, notoriety Rhythm Heaven gets from Nintendo outside of like the release window. So just the fact that they even got any attention and they were like blasting the music and showing the game and giving us little posters and t-shirts. I mean, that was cool. I mean, also I can't have to admit it felt kind of special going to like that curtain that they would usher us to play the Wii U, and then going back and taking off the wristband because I was able to take it off my wrist and give it to other people.
Oh, at Comic-Con. Yeah, the first Comic-Con, the Comic-Con Nigel was at. Yeah, they had the mysterious Wii U room that was really just behind a curtain. And yeah, it was a wristband base. That's right. I don't remember how we ended up getting
but
those.
there's a lot of it's been a wild ride at least.
Yeah. What about Elvis? What about you guys? I know you've been to a slightly smaller number of events overall, but you've definitely done some stuff. Anything stand out?
I mean, you guys definitely hit all the ones that I had in mind, like the LA event where we all took the photo with somewhat of a Nintendo pillow, holding a Nintendo pillow.
That was the Wii U, right?
Oh,
the
Wii U event, yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is...
did we eat at Arby's that day?
We did, right across the street on Sunset.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't know why I remember that. It's like every...
Arby's.
Yeah, glowing endorsement for Arby's on a recording. I don't remember eating there. It was nothing to me.
I really like the time that just because it's Donkey Kong, that they took over like the zoo.
Oh yeah, the LA
Zoo. Gorillas.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
That was for a 3DS game.
Yeah, they had the barrels where they were getting the.
Oh, it's for Tropical, whatever.
Yeah, it was Donkey Kong. No, it was DK. It was Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D on the 3DS. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, they to clarify for anyone listening, they had the DK barrels at a demo stage. It's not like they put the barrels with the live gorillas. That would be a bit much. I feel like we need to clarify
see that. But they did have barrels like in their thingy, and they had like.
Oh right, they did the photo op. That's right. Never mind. That's literally what they did.
No, they had like live.
No, that's what I'm saying. They did the photo op for the press, not for us. They did it with the day.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like press photo. Yeah, that was a cool. It's funny because there's so many little ones we got. Like that one didn't even enter my mind, but that's like kind of a more interesting, unique. Not in the way that Rhythm Heaven was, in a different way, but kind of a unique, niche sort of event.
Nothing beats the first time we played Mario Kart VR in Japan. That was super cool.
Oh, that was literally all you guys but me, huh? Like literally all four of you but me, right? Kevin, you were there, weren't you?
I wasn't there. I wasn't there because I was hungover from the night before.
You're in Japan.
Kevin United, we stand.
I was in Japan when that happened, but I was not part of the VR experience.
He was way closer than you were. Gilbert took the ticket instead.
Right. How did you like Mario Kart VR, Elvis? Like, how does it compare in your mind to like real Mario Kart, or to the normal games?
It's
kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely its own thing, yeah.
To compare, it's really weird to compare them. And you could do them competitively. The other one is definitely more for fun.
More like a ride.
But it's definitely cool to see like Wario next to you, all super huge. Puts the little things into perspective. You get to see thwomps and enemies. Ever since it came here, we haven't even done it.
I think actually, now I think about it, we went, Angel, didn't we? To the one down in Irvine.
Familiar? Did we go with Esther and Fabian?
Yeah, and Victor. Hey, everyone listening at home, take a shot every time you hear a name you don't recognize.
I remember the one in Japan,
in 5 minutes.
But I don't. Yeah, I think I remember doing it in Japan, but I better remember the one we did with you.
Wow! Okay.
Nice.
Great. All right. Well,
in Japan, like, wasn't also like someone who barely won by throwing an item?
Oh yeah, that was me. I didn't want to say too much. I didn't want to rub it in.
No, I barely lost. Yeah.
Last quarter, I grabbed a green shell and threw it at Angel. Yeah.
Nice.
It was actually really
Yeah, I remember something cool happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that you could like make the characters gesture so you could see like Luigi flip, or just like trying to like do the shaking their fist at you. I guess you never see Luigi, maybe not Mario.
Yeah, Nintendo's golden boy.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin? What events or moments have you stand out all these years later?
The immediate one that came to my mind was when you got me into E3, the year that they had that huge Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? It was just like a...
It was technically a booth, but it was more like it was like a themed land.
It was like a hall almost.
Yeah. I mean, it was in...
Probably not a hall, but...
They set up like a giant,
basically
enclosed ballroom of sorts with no ceiling. Like they fenced in the booth entirely, and it was like you were in Hyrule, sort of.
Yeah, so that's the one that really comes because like I remember being in that room where I did they show the trailer before they let us out? Like
yeah,
because like you're in line
before
and
you went
you into like this little theater room, and they it was a really cool room. It was like dark. It was basically the chamber where Link wakes up in Breath of the Wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it was like similar to that. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then the doors open, and then you go into that little that huge area. That was really cool. And then the other one that came to my mind next after that, and it's weird because both of these are with Jason, where me and Jason waited in line to try Smash 4 at a Best Buy in Culver City.
Yep.
And so that we could get those.
Oh, that's right. We did that a couple times.
Yeah.
Those are interesting. Or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember we were there, we had our 3DSs, we were like street passing with people, eventually we got to play the game.
Oh, that's right, Street Pass was Justin Roiland.
Yeah, and then we played the game, I got trounced. I think Jason won his round, right?
Yeah, I did. It was the only time I've ever won. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I remember that. And funny enough that we got the coins, the little golden coins with the Smash logo. Mm-hmm. I retrofitted that into a belt that I was going to use. Not like actually use, but it was more going to be for like shindigs and parties for like Smash tourneys that we would have, and we just pass around the belt. I still have it here. I'll send you guys a photo.
That's cool. I didn't know you did that with the belt. What a cool way to turn into something more special.
Let me walk away real quick. I'll send you guys a photo.
Yeah, you do your thing. While you do that, I was going to say, I feel like those Best Buy Nintendo, like, so for those who don't remember from many years ago, Nintendo used to do E3 at Best Buy. So E3 was still close to the public at that point, but Nintendo wanted to let people try demos, so they would take over like however many Best Buys around the country and do these demo events where you stand in a long line, you play one round of a game, and you're done. They didn't bring in extra demo units usually. They didn't even like have enough employees. They just, let people stand for 4 hours to play 10 minutes of Pikmin 3 or Mario Kart, and then you cycle out, and if you want to play the other game, you get back in the line and wait 4 more hours. But what was cool about the LA one, the Culver City one that we went to for Smash that Ken was saying, and Angel, you probably remember this, is one of the years we went, some of Nintendo's lead developers were like, let's go see what the real like commoners think of these games, and actually like took a van over from E3. So we're sitting there playing like, Pikmin or Mario Kart or whatever, and then like there's like the producer of the Mario series, not Miyamoto, the Tanabe or whatever his name is, and there's Kono, who's in charge of Mario Kart and Nintendogs, and like there's the guy that's in charge of Pikmin with like a little Pikmin badge on his shirt, and it's like, whoa, these are like big name people at Nintendo that have determined the course of so many of their games and choices they made and that sort of thing. Like the Mario producer I mentioned, like he basically is in charge of all 2D Mario, and then I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who hosts the Nintendo Directs now from Japan, the head of their software, he was there because he was just promoting Mario 3D World, and he was like doing weird cat poses, and he was wearing like cat ears, and yeah, like all these people that are now like big movers and shakers at Nintendo, or some of which already were, just like came and hung out and like took photos and chatted as best they could, and it was really kind of like this cool, sort of weirdly intimate thing, even though it was like a 4-hour line of people to see it, just because they were just kind of moseying around without security, without any sort of like attention. Obviously, if Miyamoto showed up, it wouldn't have worked. But like having the kind of like second layer of Nintendo people, some of which have now moved on up, it was a very cool experience and very kind of unique and surprising that even happened. Like you remember that, right, Angel? When we did that and we bumped into like all of them.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the time where you guys saw, or like some fan, since he was fluent in Japanese, he was able to talk to one of the dudes?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think you were with us, right?
Take a picture in Japanese.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there. Angel was telling me.
Right. Yeah. Because someone was having a full conversation. I remember because I couldn't have a full conversation. The Pikmin guy. I pointed to. He had like a patch of like Pikmin art, and I was like, "Oh, Pikmin! I love that game." And he's just like, "Thanks," and that's about as much as I could say. Because I didn't know anything better, but yeah, but it was cool to like meet them and everything, yeah. And there's lots of opportunities like at Eddie having the chance. We all at Comic-Con met Charles Martinet, voice Mario multiple times. He did a voicemail for you, didn't he, Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He recorded. It's probably exists somewhere. That was another thing I was going to mention. Yeah, of favorite memories. But yeah, I asked him to do a voicemail for me as Wario, and then I kind of felt bad because after that, people saw that like, oh shit, like he's doing voice overs for people.
Yeah, we
And
kind
then
of
after
double
that-
him because you did that, and then I put in the Ram Nintendo intro record at the
And
same time.
that kind of just started a snowball of
Mhm.
people just asking requests, and then
Do you remember a
yeah.
couple years later when like he came around? He's like, I can't do voice recordings for anyone. And we're like, oh,
Oh,
that was
yeah,
because of
that's
us. We
You're
did
right.
that. Oops, our bad.
Yeah, he must have remembered us too, because I remember Nigel was awesome enough because he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
take a game. He didn't take anything to get signed. So I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I don't want to look like that person that has like a bunch of things. So like, I just gave Nigel Mario Galaxy 2, and like, and I hold on to. I already forgot what other game I had. And Nigel goes first, and he like personalizes it. He puts Nigel's like
Nigel's name on
Nigel's like yeah,
on
and
your
he put
Mario
Nigel's-
Galaxy.
So yeah, and then he signs it. So it's like Nigel's Mario Galaxy. So yeah, we were just like laughing afterwards, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry," but like, "Oh, it's all good." So I mean, the game just has like a post-it over Nigel's name, and it just says Angels. But the rest of the signature's
That's
still
great.
there.
That's awesome.
and we all have his headshot.
Yeah, we all have a signed headshot.
Yeah, we do have his headshot.
Yeah.
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 It's so funny because, like, you know, there's so many years of these events and they all kind of at some level blur together. But we've been very fortunate, even just within Comic-Con, you know, or whatever, or going to a Wii U launch thing. Like, even the Wii U launch thing, like, we did that as a group and had a great time. They did the same thing for the Switch. I went solo to that. In concept, it was just as good, if not better, in terms of the production of it. But just, like, the right moment, the right people, the right experiences. There's no karaoke at the Switch one. Like, it's lined up very favorably that, you know, even as fans, we've had really... where obviously everything will be like, oh, that's cool. Like, there are really cool moments we got to be part of. Or it's that I think, you know, I don't want to say we take for granted, but it is nice to every so often reflect and be like, oh, yeah, that happened. Like, that was really cool. Like, we had that moment that so many fans would, like, die to experience. Is Kevin back, by the way?
Oh yeah, I've been back.
Oh, hi. Hi. Did you find your belt?
Yeah, I posted the picture in the messenger
right.
group that we're a part of.
I have my phone. See it.
I never knew you that existed or you had that.
That
Yeah,
is-
that belt is
really?
really
that
cool.
is pretty cool. And so you made your own, like, wrestling belt, except sort of not, but kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially just like affixed to a belt buckle. Maybe we can use that whenever we do Drunk Mario Party.
You
Yes.
put that on a... Wait, oh no, it's the coin that you put... No,
Yeah, it's
wait.
the coin that we got at the
Oh,
Yeah, the gold coin. Yeah.
Never mind. I thought it was like a belt buckle, like the whole. It was a whole thing. Oh no, we have.
Oh
that.
no.
So it's official. Would you wear that to a wedding?
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, that just
It actually runs.
snug.
It actually, yeah, it runs really small. So like it will not be able to be used by me. Maybe one of you two.
I mean, like the coin just is like the perfect size circle.
Oh yeah, it's like perfect size.
Yeah, it looks
Worked out really well.
Yeah,
you know what?
that's
We will
insane.
put that picture of that belt in the blog post for this episode so people can see what we're talking about. So check the blog post
Cool,
around town.com, anyone listening. But yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about events, but and Nigel, you actually touched on this right at the top. The Switch kind of getting you back into the Nintendo fold a bit more directly. Would you say? I mean, I guess it's the only one you've owned in the last 10 years, but is it a favorite of yours now at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of like looking back at it, I was like kind of just reviewing some of the questions you had. And I mean, you know, I think for me, it was like the perfect console at like the perfect time. You know, it was like 5 years ago. I was in my mid-20s. Now I'm just old. But I was like traveling a lot. I was getting busier with work. So I didn't really have time to like sit down and commit time to like playing on a console and like, you know, really dedicating as much time as I used to when I was younger. So like to have a Switch, it was great to be like, oh, cool. Like I can play a full-fledged Mario Kart while I'm like on a plane going to Japan and getting my ass kicked by one of my best friends. Or, you know, I can go, you know, have these like full console-esque experiences on the go, which was awesome for me. So I think that's for me, at least the Switch, just, you know, has been the only console I've owned in the last 10 years, really, has been like that like special experience, at least for me, just to get back into gaming. As I think I said earlier, like I used to have like an old 360 and I'd buy the $20 games and now I'm spending like $60 on a game. So it's definitely had an impact when it comes to like getting me back into gaming and getting me back into being like a little more current when it comes to things like that.
Right. And even, you know, connecting with us, like, I mean, granted, part of this was the pandemic, which hard to have a 10-year retrospective and not mention. Remember when the whole world shut down for like a year? But
Yeah,
but yeah, like because we all like collectively play Knockout City now, and like before that, a lot of us did Splatoon, and before that, even I know like you and Angel did like virtual game nights with like Mario Kart and stuff. So like I feel like it's funny that I feel like the Switch and just gaming in general brought the group together in a way that wasn't there before. And even though we're further apart now than we were in like the immediate years after college or whatever, physically, so it does have that advantage as well. What about the rest of you guys? What would you say your favorite system is in these last 10 years of Nintendo? 3DS, Wii U, Switch.
Among Nintendo consoles, right?
Yes, among Nintendo. I mean, if you want to randomly shout out a PlayStation because you work there, sure. But yes, among Nintendo consoles.
I mean, if anything, I would
3DS.
What makes you say 3DS, Ellis?
I just had a lot of great games from what I remember.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, if you include the last 10 years, 3DS definitely had a lot of ghosts kept coming back. I mean, I still came back to it, like last year. Or was it this year, whenever I played Metroid 2. And then even then, I was still playing. I mean, I still always go back for Rhythm Heaven every couple months. I still go back to 2, though I'm not playing. Probably give it to
I'm
the
always
Switch,
a big fan of Nintendo portables.
Yeah, I think that's what the Switch did so well, though, right? Is like it is like the Nintendo portables always felt kind of like their stronger one, but it also has all the pros of being a console. To Nigel's point, like it is like the perfect marriage. Like they
no
nailed the
folders.
execution.
The 3DS feels.
It still kind of feels. I wish like there's still like a first, not like a first party, like a definitive portable second system that Nintendo usually has.
Right. Yeah. 3DS was the pinnacle.
The Switch
of that.
doesn't feel. The Switch doesn't feel as personal as the 3DS does, because like between the Badge Arcade and all like the ways you could customize the home menu,
Street Pass,
the background, the folders, Street Pass, like it felt more.
The
like
console itself was its like little thing.
Yeah, the Switch is just a. It's not
That's true. Exciting. That is true to some. Like even the fact that they haven't introduced anything beyond like a light mode and a dark mode. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's been 5 years. Like the most personalization you get is your avatar, and yeah, it's kind of.
Plus, I feel like it's kind of fragile too. Like I think, like I didn't have a 3DS, but like I played on my sister's DSs and stuff, and like those were like portables where you could just like throw it in your bag and have to worry about it. I feel at least like with a Switch, and maybe it's not the same with the Switch Lite, but like a Switch, it's like I don't know. I feel like I can't really be too careless with it,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, oh, Joy-Con's going to point off. Like you can't really just, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting that like there was, I think, when the Nintendo went from the Wii U 3DS era to the Switch era, there was, I mean, anyone that's listened to the show for the last 10 years knows Nintendo pivoted. Like they're an IP first company now. They care more about their characters, getting people in the door, and then they could play different games on mobile, on console, whatever. But like there was a moment there where those were like peak Nintendo, like quirky, weird, but like they knew what they were. They're these things that you could just toss around. They're kind of Fisher Pricey in some ways in terms of build quality, but like it did what it needed to do. It was super quirky with all the personalization stuff. Like Badge Arcade would not make sense on Switch in that audience. Like it was so, it could work, but like it doesn't mesh with like what the system was about and the identity of it. So there's definitely like a moment where it switched, no pun intended. And I feel like, yeah, the 3DS, the DS, the Wii U, Miiverse, something like Miiverse, like it definitely felt like Nintendo was very more thinking small scale, and then they went super broad and mainstream with the Switch. So if you prefer the like quirkier side of Nintendo, those systems. If you prefer, just the really good games, but nothing beyond that, like you don't need the quirk, you just need the games, the Switch is your go-to. But there's definitely like a turning point. Looking back now, 5 years removed from that turning point. So it's interesting that you guys are leaning more towards the old Nintendo.
You think the era of having a like little sister portable console is over?
I think honestly that they are considering the smartphone games to be kind of that. I think in Nintendo's mind they're going, the Switch is our bread and butter. We can get double the games on it because we have console and handheld all in one place. So the droughts they have are not as frequent because literally they have double the resources for one machine. And if you want like kind of the on the go, you don't really need to like worry about it. You can toss it in your pocket. Just you have your phone on you anyway. Like even like something like Pikmin Bloom that we were just talking about a couple episodes ago.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah.
I guess that does serve like the 3DS personalized stuff.
Yeah, like because
like the little gimmicky stuff.
Exactly, and and a phone is customizable in the same way that the 3DS was. You can change your background, you can make folders. Like it is like, I'm not saying it's that Nintendo's controlling your whole phone or making their own phone. I don't think they're ever gonna do that. But like the idea of like this kind of more personal device kind of became the phone, and now there's like, fine, we'll make the gaming machine. And we'll put the Nintendo stamp of quality on it and make all the cool games everyone loves, but like it's a gaming machine versus like this personal Nintendo thing. So although
I also like the fact that like the 3DS is like we're kind of forced developers to make a game around the gimmick of the two screens. And
that's something I think is maybe what I miss most from the old Nintendo. Now that you mentioned it, I'm kind of curious if you guys agree, but definitely when Nintendo put gimmick first, it led to some really interesting, kind of innovative, kind of weird games. But now, like, there are gimmicks, quote unquote, on the Switch. You have the IR reader. You theoretically have like motion controls, but how many games use those? Motion controls may be sure for aiming, but how many like are using the IR reader? How 1-2 Switch did, where like you pretend to eat a sandwich by pointing it in your mouth. Like no one does that. Nintendo's moved past that, and it's kind of. I wouldn't say it sucks, but yeah, it's like it's missing a little like
a pretty bell.
Mm-hmm. Even WarioWare on Switch, like Get It Together is weird inside WarioWare, but it doesn't do weird things with what the Switch can do, like every other WarioWare. Like it definitely feels like they kind of turned a corner in terms of what drives their game development. Which again, it's just different eras.
WarioWare was like about abusing the gimmick out of the console.
Yeah, except even then within, the gimmick just being co-op, essentially. Like the actual control mechanism.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't do the control in the same way that like the other ones did.
Yeah, but like the Wii ones, they definitely incorporated motion stuff.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a knock. It's just it's like Nintendo had a bit of a shift of perspective as they're trying to go broader and bigger, and clearly it works. The thing sold like 90 million. Nintendo's raking it, but yeah, this show started with a very with Nintendo coming off that mainstream and getting kind of almost out of necessity more quirky because they had to cater to like their core fans because nothing was really selling, and then they were like, oh, we could go mainstream again. When they did, they kind of dropped some of the quirk. Like maybe they'll bring back some of it because the Switch they want to turn into like a personal device to some degree. Like they're saying they want everyone in a household to have their own. So maybe that means wallpapers. Maybe that means something like that. But I don't think it's gonna be back to how the 3D. Like we're never gonna have a Mii guaranteed or a Street Pass equivalent. Probably. It's just it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, where do you stand on it, Kevin? Are you because did you have a 3DS? I feel like I ask you this all the time. You did not, right?
I did no. I had a 3DS.
Oh, which one didn't you have? Was it a DS?
I didn't have a Wii U.
Oh, Wii U. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which side of the coin are you falling on? Do you prefer 3DS or like more of the Switch these days? Like, where?
Oh, I mean the Switch. I honestly didn't play too much out of my 3DS aside from Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei 4. I didn't really like Mario Kart 7, so that didn't even get me into it. I played a little bit of Smash, but as listeners of this podcast know, I'm not a good Smash player, so that didn't even get me into it. But I've been loving everything that I play on my Switch, at least. Yeah,
it's fun because I came into this recording going, oh, the Switch is my favorite by far. But as we talked about it, I do kind of miss quirky Nintendo. There was something... And it's not just like the software, like even the way they did Nintendo Directs, the way they trotted out certain executives almost as like personalities, the way like there is like this almost like not personal, but like this weird, it felt like we were more connected to Nintendo as a company in the first, let's say 5 years of this show than now. Like it felt like they tried more to cater directly to fans. That's again, out of necessity, but still they're more corporate now. Everything's more corporate. So, on the one hand, I think the Switch is a great idea, excellent execution. The games are really good. Nintendo's knocking it out of the park in that regard. But like the cult of personality around Nintendo's kind of gone, and that was super fun. At least for me. I mean, Angel, I don't know how you feel about it. You've been here since day one with me. Do you feel that switch, that pivot, kind of have happened?
Not too much. I mean, it's definitely gradual because I feel like I was mentioning earlier. I never really let go of the last console too much.
Right.
It's just always kind of been there.
Fair.
And even on the Switch itself, just kind of playing some older stuff. I mean, it's also kind of hard for me, like, not to see the Switch as just a Smash Brothers machine sometimes. Like, after months, like, oh yeah, Metroid Dread was on here. Like, that was really cool. And then I keep thinking, like, oh yeah, Ace Attorney. Like, oh wait, no, there were two really good ones on the 3DS. You had 5, 6, and Layden vs. Plus, that's also where I played the Notary games, or at least 2 of them. And then,
I'm sorry, did you say the Notary?
Yeah, what are the Notary games?
Like legal?
Nonary.
Oh, no.
Gotcha.
I thought you were talking about Swap Note for a second.
Zero Escape. Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Swap Note. And I was like, oh, that was another quirky thing they used to do. Remember we could pass notes to each other?
Yeah,
you can't do that with the
Swap
Switch.
Note was really cool. There was basically a way to animate. Oh yeah, freaking Flip Note Studio.
Note Studio 3D, yeah.
And that was a thing.
All those weird little eShop games.
The Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Oh my god, yeah, like, don't even give me... Like, I mean, that's where I discovered and really got into Way Forward, because I played Risky's Revenge because of the DS... No, Was it DSiWare? Is that what it was?
Yep. I think.
Whichever the first one was. And then I got into Mighty Milky Way, Mighty Switch Force, Mighty Flip Champs, and then discovered Mutant Mud. Like, I was definitely way more into indies in the 3DS era than in any of the consoles. I remember, and even like the smaller stuff that Nintendo pushed out, like Push Mode was really cool. Ketzel's Corridors, even Kerplunk. Like, there was just cool random little things, or Attack of the Friday Monsters was a random cool game that was really fun. But yeah, I don't know. There's just good stuff on the Switch, obviously, but I'm having like a hard time remembering something off the back of my head the way I am right now remembering remembering the 3DS ones. I forgot there was a Runner 3 on the Switch. I beat it, but I remember Runner 2 more on the Wii U, and even more so Runner 1 or the Runner collection that I had on the 3DS, because that was really cool. 3DS was also where I was way more into Pokemon. I'm gonna get Diamond and Pearl, but it's a remake. I'm doing it more for the Japanese practice and nostalgia's sake. I'm not really getting it to get competitive with it. Yeah, so I guess that's where I am.
I will say it's interesting, like, because you've been obviously with me for this since day one, and Elvis, you were in many of the early episodes. I feel, so maybe you can relate to this too, but I feel like it was a lot easier to cover a lot more stuff in a way, or not more stuff, but I feel like the coverage that we did in the 3DS and Wii U days, including all those little games you said, versus now where there's like 6,700 games, that's an actual number, 6,700 games on the eShop for the Switch.
Play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but it felt like, because every little game was a big deal back then versus now where it's just like the floodgates are open, like they did in a way feel a little more special.
Was a big deal
not every, but like indies were fewer and far between.
There's still a lot of garbage.
True. Yeah, like what was the one we played, Angel? Skunk Bundle on Wii U?
Oh yeah.
Skunk Bundle. Yeah, look that up sometime, folks. That's a nightmare of a game. But no, but like I feel like every smaller release, it felt like it was more focused, even though there was still a lot of variety and still a lot of people involved. Like I don't know how better to describe it. It was more like intimate also with the games. Like we had like
the eShop updates meant something back in the day.
Yeah, now it's just like, oh, here's a port of some other thing from 5 years ago. Like it's not a diss. It's more variety is a good thing for the system, but like for coverage of the system, we definitely have gone from being able to cover pretty much every announcement and every game because there were so few of them to now like really cherry picking and only doing like first party stuff a lot, just because it's impossible to keep up. There's just so much. It's all kind of just this tidal wave, which might be why, Angel, you're able to more like nostalgically, personally connect with some of those games for just like the Switch where everything's there.
Yeah, obviously, like you pointed out, like we probably knew like what wasn't the entire like library of 3DS games like at some point, more so than the Switch. Yeah. I remember. I enjoyed those 2-3 weeks when the Switch was out, where I felt like I knew every single game in the eShop before that was gone.
And it's such a weird nitpick. Like, obviously, more games is better. There's more variety, more audience options. But like for us, it's definitely a different vibe. So here comes a hard question. So we're talking about all these different games and all these different. What would you guys say if you had to pick 1 or 2 games? What would be your favorite games from the past decade on any Nintendo platform? Should I go first while everyone stews?
Can't not say Smash Brothers, obviously.
Ultimate, I assume,
obligated.
opposed to 4.
Yeah, Ultimate definitely had like, it's my favorite gameplay wise, but 4 is probably, I think it's probably the one I was like most really into. I don't know. Ultimate is getting there just because of like the new friends that we've made because of Ultimate. But obviously that's 10 years. I can't not mention Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
What about Nigel? How about you? You mostly have the Switch now. So what was your favorite?
Oh man,
it's tricky.
Probably gonna sound pretty basic. I'd probably say like Breath of the Wild. I was never like a really Zelda fan. I didn't really have any of the proper Zeldas, and I never really played them on like the Wii or the 64 or anything else like that. But I remember when I first got the Switch, that was really like the only game that was out. You still had to wait a little bit for, I think, Mario Kart, and you still had to wait for like Odyssey to come out. Kind of like to y'all's point, there weren't that many games. It was kind of easy to keep up. But yeah, I think probably just Breath of the Wild. There's just like open world, is easy to get around, easy controls, kind of easy to pick up. It was a 2-story intensive, so you didn't have to like remember every single little detail. It's just kind of like just a fun adventure game. And like I said, I wasn't playing too many video games. I'd kind of fallen off of playing video games, so it was an easy game for me to like jump in. It was challenging enough. It was fun enough. to like not make me say, "Oh, this sucks," and stop playing. So I'd probably say Breath of the Wild. And I remember just one time I was like playing like on my patio, and it was raining outside, and it was raining in the game, and I'm like, "This is kind of cool. I'm playing a console game outside in the rain. This is nice." I don't know, it's just like one of those cool moments where you're just like, "Oh shit!" Like
I know exactly what you mean.
life, art imitating life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'd probably say Breath of the Wild. And then I think maybe 2 was like Mario Odyssey, if I had to pick one, just because I never really played Mario games either. And I'm not really big on like collecting type games like that. Like it's a fun platformer, but you want to collect the stars, and you want to collect this next thing. So that was one of those games that I never saw myself really getting into, but I had a lot of fun playing. It just works perfectly. Like controls, like it's just, you jump and you jump, like it's not, you move left. I don't know. It just felt perfect.
I'm gonna second that. If I had to pick, I mean, ultimately for me it's gonna be Pokemon Go, which I can talk about later. But if I had to pick like a Nintendo-made game, Mario Odyssey.
Pokemon Go?
Yeah, dude, it's like all right, fine, I'll explain. Well, first, let me agree with Odyssey real quick because I was gonna say that like, yeah,
you have a Nintendo podcast. You're a host.
It's Nintendo affiliated. But no, if we're talking Nintendo
sorry.
first party, yeah, I think Odyssey. And like for me, like the nostalgia of going back to like Sunshine structure, the personality of the game, the worlds, like New Donk City, the Jump Up Superstar song itself, which not my all time favorite event, but it's really cool hearing that live at the Game Awards in person. But yeah, like all of it just meshed really well. It was just a really cool experience. So I second Odyssey. Do I now need to explain Pokemon Go? I guess I should. Should I? Or do I just get? You can just judge me and we'll move on. I'll come back to it. What about you, Elvis?
Favorite Nintendo game from these past 10 years?
Yes, I could hear you buying time.
That is the question.
I could sense the time you're buying.
If Jason wants to explain why he likes Pokemon Go.
Did you explain Pokemon Go while you think about it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, go for it. Or Kevin, how about you first?
Mario Party Island Tour.
There we go. Game of the century. Is that really your answer?
So many. That game.
That's a game. Mario Party Island.
It's on
Tour?
the.
That game was a game in college. It was a drinking game.
That was a pretty fun one. Some cool 3D levels.
Is it weird to anyone else that the new Mario Party like Superstars doesn't actually address the 3DS games as if they're real? It's like, oh, this is the 11th Mario Party. And it's like, no, it's like the 14th. You didn't count the DS one. You didn't count the 2 3DS ones. But
Mario Party DS was a full Mario Party with board games.
Yeah.
It's
so strange.
Wait, so do they not count Super Mario Party as the 11th Mario Party?
Oh, but maybe it says 12. It counts everything excluding the handheld one, which is weird.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it does make it. But we sticking with Island Tour, Elvis? It's a perfectly valid answer. I'm just surprised.
I mean, it's a good one.
I know whenever I think about Elvis, I think, man, that boy loves him some Mario Party Island Tour.
And he has the back of the box really quote right there. It's a good one. Kevin, how about you? We'll give Elvis a minute.
The first game that comes to mind is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Solid choice.
Like, I'm maybe bad at the game compared to Elvis and Angel because they like to play the meta or whatever.
You need to play the meta in any game.
Shut up.
What the heck?
We're not going over this. But
Mario Kart, that's where you draw the line.
I don't think there's a game that brings me as much joy playing that with friends.
Yeah.
Plus rage.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8's really good.
And you guys know I love to rage.
Oh, you love to rage. It's a signature. Your rants on the podcast are some of the best parts of it, honestly. Always a good time as you rage away.
I try to entertain.
Yes. Elvis, do you have enough time now? Do you have an answer? You forgot what you even had to think about, didn't you?
I've played a lot of non-Nintendo games.
Binding of Isaac was on.
Yeah, that counts. Anything on a Nintendo platform, sure.
And also,
I mean, I'm saying Pokemon Go, so you could say anything, literally.
It's true. I guess if I had played it on a Nintendo console, it would have been Binding of Isaac.
How many times have you played through it? And what is it that you like about it?
It's like any roguelike game. It has a lot of replay value. It kind of saves itself. And it's incredibly hard, too. It can be hard, so just trying to 100% it, being a completionist, that's already a hard thing to do. But it's not a boring thing to try. And I guess Mortal Kombat 11.
It's on the Switch.
It's on the Nintendo.
It's on the Switch. It counts.
That is on Switch.
It's a different version, but it's there, and you're not specifying, so we're good.
So can I say Kingdom Hearts 2 in that case?
It's not yet on Switch, but you wait a year and yes.
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, fine.
It's a retrospective episode.
Save that for the next 10-year podcast.
Yeah, exactly. When we turn 20,
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts 2 all the way, Kevin.
All right, you got me.
But I guess to explain my Pokemon Go thing, since I got some interesting reactions to that, I realize it's not like core Nintendo, but like what a moment it was in time. Like, I don't know. I played that game for probably 2 or 3 years after it came out. I then eventually dropped it, but it was just so like combined something that I was so passionate about as a kid. Because I before I was a Nintendo fan, I was a huge Pokaholic, whatever you want to call it, like obsessive. Like I bags upon bags of merch. I have like 3,000 Pokemon cards still. Like I was obsessed. And then to have it kind of reinvented in that way that kind of leveraged modern technology and still tied back to the original game. And it was also kind of like that moment where like it was like a transitional moment for Nintendo 2. So just kind of like very new feeling as a Nintendo fan to do something that was like Nintendo, but not on their system, but their characters, but not quite like what you're used to. Like it was just a lot of newness at once that tied perfectly into nostalgia and then had the social layers on top. I mean, I still remember the weekend it came out. We all happened to get brunch, or at least a lot of us did. And then we ended up walking around downtown Culver City for like 2 hours just catching Pokemon in Pokemon Go. And like all of us were doing it. Everyone downtown was doing it. Like waiters were like coming out of restaurants being like, oh, there's a Vulpix around the corner and like telling us. Like it was such a unique communal gaming like moment that I don't think I ever quite experienced before. And I don't think it's ever going to quite happen again in that same way. That it's just like, if I think of one like defining gaming thing for me in the past decade, Pokemon Go, like hands down. I mean, even the fact that like all my coworkers and I would like ditch work and go like do gym battles and stuff, like it was something that, you don't think about gaming necessarily having that role in people aren't going to necessarily bring their consoles to work. If they do, like maybe do a Smash tournament, but whatever, but having like everyone just like have the game, be part of it, be part of this like societal, cultural zeitgeist moment. It was really very unique, kind of special. I don't see it ever happening again, so I can't. It defined the decade. I just know, for me at least, that's where that's coming from. If it sounds less crazy,
that sounds like a favorite Nintendo moment.
But it was still the game. I played the game for. But I mean, I played the game for years, and that was the gameplay. That's the thing. The gameplay was all that stuff. Going out with friends, catching Pokemon, doing the gym battles together, doing competitive play with your team versus the teams. Like it was all. That's what's interesting about it. You're right. It was like a moment. It was like an event. But it was the gameplay. The gameplay was the event. It was the moment. Like it sort of married them in a very interesting way. So yeah, if we're talking pure game, where it's just like you're sitting in front of a system or a TV, sure, Mario Odyssey gets my pick. But if we're talking like, it in a way, you're right. It sort of redefined what gameplay could be, because it was very driven by event, but it was the core gameplay. That was the mechanic. So yeah, I'll give those two answers, and pick your poison, whichever one you think sounds better. But yeah, I guess with that, or we'll stick with your Mortal Kombat and Binding of Isaac Rebels. I guess with that.
Wait, what about Island Tour?
I'm sorry. That's right, Island Tour. Yeah, I forgot as quickly as most of Nintendo fans. Does anyone remember that game? So, but yeah, I guess the last bit of business of the show, or the podcast, have a knack for having punny, cringy, good, in my opinion, titles. So, I thought we should reflect on that. Did anyone happen to have any standout titles? I know some of you don't pay as much attention to the podcast as others, but any standout titles from our 268
sorry about that.
episode? Yeah, okay. Okay, Angel. But is there any that... Well, Angel, you've been there since day one. Is there any that jumps out that you remember as being particularly cringe or good, or maybe cringe equals good, depending on how you look at it?
They say that the worst crime a movie can commit is just being bored. And I'm just kidding. No, I was trying to make a point that, like, looking back at the titles, like, there weren't too many that jumped out at me right away. It's like, oh yeah, like I love this title.
Damn!
Wow, this is my these are my children. Except a few that you came up with and that Kevin came.
I mean, there's a few funny ones that always make me chuckle when I read them out, like Big Diglett Energy or
Kevin
Can't Stop Won't Stop.
Oh, yeah, Can't Stop Won't Stop.
But I mean, as far as like a favorite, that's hard, because like there's a few that I feel like when I read it, I'm like, oh, we could have done better.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Get in the Zone for tennis, like you could see like the range for like when we, I guess for lack of a better, phoned it in. But I mean, but then there's also a lot of like very inspired ones. But I mean, I don't know, a simple one that I've always just kind of liked is Mean Green Dreaming Machine.
Oh, for Mario Luigi Dream Team.
Yeah. I mean, also another simple one, but I really liked it. I really liked Blockbusters. A really good one.
That was Super Mario 35, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a weird trivia
Line.
show where I'm like guessing the title. Yeah, sometimes this.
Oh yeah, and
What's your most viewed show episode?
The Switch launch, last I checked, was our most, cause there was such, there's such, excitement around the Switch, and it was such like a moment for even people beyond like the core Nintendo fans that would listen to us at the time, that like it kind of took off. Like it had double the listeners at one last, whenever I looked. But yeah, it was in.
What was that episode
Switched
title?
on. It wasn't even that good of a title.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and just to real quick, I feel like we need to shout out the fact that Kevin comes up with some of the big Diglett energy. That was a good one for Mario's, or not Mario, for Pokemon Sword and Shield and their Gigantamaxing. Also from Kevin, does size matter for the Switch OLED a couple months?
Oh, I can't believe we went with that one.
Yep.
To be fair, of the two that I thought of, that was the more tame one. I don't think we could say the other one.
I mean, we could bleep it if you want to say it, but no one will know what you're saying.
Okay, if you're okay with me bleeping it, I'll say it.
I mean, it's bleeped. Who's gonna know the difference?
Okay, so I was thinking we should call it.
Oh my god!
But I was like, that'll get us in trouble.
Yeah,
like,
that's
with somebody
wow.
out there.
Yeah, that would have definitely. I feel like the more ridiculous we get the titles up, maybe not that one, but the more ridiculous we get, like, yeah, like I remember we did for Game Boy's anniversary, we did something like Game Boys to Men or something like that because we're now adults, which is just like, that's dumb. Or like,
oh, I forgot about
that was
that
the first one you were on as the third chair officially. Or like we did for this one, I'm proud of, not gonna lie. Hey, now you're an all-star for Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Like, come on, right? It's but yeah, we
That's not really. I don't know.
It's fine. Okay, I'll give you that. We did do.
We really phoned it in with Master / Quest.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
yeah, we
god.
Did. Yeah. We also I think this is an Angel original. For Bayonetta 2, we did Where My Witch Is At. So that was a thing.
That's a good one.
Yep. So we had that. We also had. I'm trying to remember.
I'm surprised you allowed that one.
I mean, they're witches. That's what they are. Just because it rhymes with something else, you know.
Right.
You know. We did. I feel like we had a good.
I was curious where they were.
Yeah, it's what they were. We're asking where they are because it was they're Bayonetta was missing in action for a while at that. We also had a good run with like the Splatoons, or the 2 Splatoon episodes. We had Inklings of Greatness for the preview where we went hands on with it. That makes sense on 2 levels, and then the episode for the actual release I think was You Gotta Be Squidding Me, which I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but it sounded good, I guess. At the time,
it's like
no, I know, but like, what are we kidding about? Like, that's so good, that's so bad. Like, what's the joke? I don't know. Like, just like a random sense. But we've had some. The one that always was, and for no reason, I think just it was so random. For Game on 3 called Pocket Card Jockey.
Paper plastic.
We did for Paper Mario on Wii.
Yeah, I also really like Fantastic Four. That was another pretty.
Did I
good
ever
one.
come up
Oh yeah,
with one?
Fantastic Four was good for Mario Golf. Yeah, did you come up with one, Elvis, on your?
I want to say I did, but I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
What it was.
I don't remember. One I've always been proud of is Mario, Mono e Mario, when Angel and I debated if Super Mario World was the best Mario game or greatest game of all time in general, which it is. But yeah, like I just thought that was kind of play. But the one I always think back to, and I'm like, this is the one I always cite to people when I talk about our bad puns, and I don't know why. Do you guys remember Pocket Card Jockey on the 3DS? It was like a card game that was horse themed that Nintendo put out back in their quirky game days. And for some reason, maybe because I was really into House of Cards at the time, I was like, oh, we'll call it Horse of Cards because it's about horses, but they're cards, but it's a card game. And it's not the best title by any means. I could rattle off 5 more that are probably better. But for some reason, that's all this time. That was episode 124. It still sticks with me as the example of our bad puns. I don't know why, but that's the one. Always. I mean, I know we've had like Scrambled.
I forgot that one existed. Yeah, I was gonna say Scrambled Egg
for Yoshi's New Island.
Is probably my favorite one as far as like just being overly punny because of the fact we have scrambled and egg in there for the appropriately mixed reviewed Yoshi's New Island.
Read that blog post, everyone listening, episode 66, right? I think because that.
Wait, this one is it worth visiting Yoshi's New Island? We share full impression of the 3DS platform. That doesn't.
No, there's like 6 egg puns throughout that paragraph, if I remember correctly. Maybe only 4.
Oh god, that's a long paragraph.
Yeah, you don't have to read it out loud. Just people go
egg tream. Really?
What's the word? What are the words around that?
Egg game worth.
He was looking at you, kid.
Oh yeah, that was one of our very first pun titles. Yeah, here's you kid. We also did the Fast and the.
This game is worth all the extreme cleverness. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, maybe don't.
We examine.
Examine.
Yeah, but there's no za there. You just have egg-amon.
Listen, don't criticize
here's
2013,
a question.
Jason.
Do you remember the title of your first episode?
Tanuki Tales Everywhere about Mario 3.
Well, did you know that?
You probably saw it yesterday.
Today, but who's counting?
I would have done that because I know the first one is Tanuki Tales Everywhere. Damn it, I don't remember the second.
My Loftwing and Me.
The third one is Gone Karting.
My Loftwing and Me was the second episode.
Oh, I came up with that
was
one.
you.
But yeah, the third one's Gone Karting.
Also,
yeah, I do remember My Loftwing.
Also, you, to your credit.
I still haven't seen Marley and Me, so maybe I'll watch it.
Maybe that's the movie. Also, to your credit, you came up with the Fast and the Furriest for the Sonic movie, which was pretty good.
Yeah, man, that was an easy
Yeah, it
one.
was. We were going to do it for 3.
Fruit.
We realized after we recorded the Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed episode that we should have used that title for that, and then we sat on it, hoping one day maybe it'll be relevant again, and then the movie was like 3 years later. So, what I'm saying is you never know what we have in our back pocket, ready to go for pure punnery. But yeah, I don't know if, Nigel, if you've had any favorites of the bunch, but that was a nice smattering.
I know one recently they all did was, I think, I saw like the they massacred my boy. I thought
that was all Kevin. That was all Kevin.
I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
That was a Kevin original. I feel like when you do for Kevin's titles, like how SNL.
That was Kevin too?
Damn. I feel like for Kevin titles, when you do like kind of how SNL does like an SNL digital short, now they do like a Please Don't Destroy video where they like credit the writer up front.
All to Kevin.
It would be like a Kevin original episode. But yeah, he's good with the puns, even though he acts like he's not. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's a curse.
Yeah, or I call it a blessing.
And the Emmy goes to is also.
I'm proud of that. Yeah, and the Emmy for Metroid Dread.
Yeah, although on the other end, I think probably one of my least favorite ones is Making the Case, just because it feels like a name that we had before, even if we didn't.
Yeah, because after 268, it can get a little difficult. But we did not do Making the Case. We did, I believe, for a different Ace Attorney, something like cross-examine something or other, and we made an article called "The Case for" some like Ace Attorney, but we never did Making this. So there's also one episode. There's one episode we did. Let's Get Digital.
Clubbing with Mario.
What? Oh yeah. For Mario Golf. There's one we did like Out with the Old, In with the New, and then there's one we did In with the Old, In with the New. There's one we did Let's Get Digital, and there's one Get Physical.
Yeah, we have one that's What's Old. We have one that's What's Old is New for Crash Team Racing.
Yeah. So we've definitely like we've reused, but then every so often you get one like Put a Ring on It for Ring Fit Adventure. We're like, that's never gonna be used again. There's no circumstance unless one of us is marrying Peach that it's ever being used again. So you work with what you have. But with that, I guess unless there's anything else.
Who came up with Clubbing with Mario?
What? Yeah, Clubbing with Mario.
Probably Jay.
I think it was me. Yeah. We also have Spilling the Tea because we were bashing some of the not bashing, that's hard. We had strong opinions about some of the new Mario Golf stuff. So we did TEE. And then somewhere in the middle there's another Mario Tennis one. But I don't remember what it was. Something with serving, like serving up Mario. I don't know. But yeah, I think with...
What was this one called? Nintendo Indirect? Did they like...
Oh, because they did a bunch of announcements. You know what's funny about that? So we did Nintendo Indirect, where they did a bunch of announcements outside like a normal Nintendo Direct format. But then by the next episode, they did a Nintendo Direct. So we had like Nintendo Indirect, and I think the next one is called like Nintendo Direct. Or like it just like they paired. But yeah, it's been 10 years of good, bad, and everything in between titles.
Yeah. Now you're playing
to 10 more, right?
Yeah, here's to keeping the show going. I do want though to thank in all seriousness. Well, first of all, huge thanks to you, Elvis, and you, Nigel, for coming back.
You made a Friends reference in one of the titles.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I don't remember why.
The one with the direct.
Oh, right.
Canto Stop Won't Stop.
Canto Stop Won't Stop. Yeah. And that was for that's not just a Pokemon one. That's specifically Pokemon Let's Go, and it's using stop. Because you can't stop because you have to go. It works on 2 levels. I give these way more thought than they deserve, but I'm proud of it. But no, and I was going to say,
a little bit more.
To the point of like, here's 10 more. I first of all, I do want to thank Nigel, Elvis, both of you guys for coming back to the show for this little roundtable conversation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like 30
this
minutes.
is long. Yeah, but I also want to thank not just you two, but also Angel, Kevin. You guys have been part of the show week in and week out, which is much appreciated. So thank you for that. And on an even bigger level, thanks to all those folks out there for listening. Like not just to this roundtable or this whole episode or whatever, but for listening to any of it, like at all. You know, whether you're listening to the show when it was just Angel and me and it sounded like we were underwater.
This one doesn't even have news. This is just
this part is, but we have news on the first half. Feeds into this when we record it.
Oh,
it's gonna be a shorter first half for sure. It's a first fifth at this point. But yeah, no, I was gonna say thanks to like anyone who's ever listened, because like, you know, if you're listening to just Angel and me from day one, it sounded like we were underwater, we appreciate it. If it was when Elvis hopped on and it still sounded like we were underwater, we appreciate it. When it was Nigel joining us for that one episode and it continued to sound like we were underwater, we also appreciate that. But even, you know, fast forwarding many years with Kevin joining and having good audio, because Kevin actually does most of our audio editing, which thank you for that, Kevin. Shout out to you. But whenever you listen, like however long you listen for, when you start, when you finish, you know, knowing there was that audience on the other end, I feel like kind of, at least for me, has made it worth it. From, you know, taking the time to record, to compiling notes for these recordings that probably seriously rival the longest Harry Potter book when all put together. Like my sheer pages of notes, it's insane. Like it's a labor of love for me. I mean, granted, I weirdly like sales numbers, but beyond just that, like it really is a labor of love. And like a kind of more of a personal note, I guess, I've in some capacity done Random Nintendo since I was a kid. I mean, first it was a GOC site, which like this hodgepodge of things, which is why it's called Random Nintendo. You know, like I used to do these like crudely made like fake game boxes for game ideas I had that I like do in Paint. But then slowly as I got older, I started posting about actual news and reviews and articles. And then in high school, as some of you guys listening may know, I know some of you guys know, you know, at like peak GameCube and DS era, Random Town became like a full-on daily news site, and we had a team of writers who helped me like write reviews and editorials, and I every day after school would come home and parse through press releases and rewrite them as original news stories, which, you know, was all a lot of fun. It got me into events. I got contact with Nintendo, some free games, not to brag too much. We even hosted giveaways for Nintendo, like they sponsored and supplied us prizes for giveaways, like Nintendo themselves, which was super cool. But then, you know, college rolled around. Yeah, we did a Pokemon Ranger giveaway. We did a Magnetica giveaway. I think we did one other, but I'm forgetting what it was. But yeah, then college came around. You know, I wrapped up the daily site in the name of having maybe a bit of a social life, which directly led to what Random Nintendo is today. Because literally everyone who's here right now on this recording, all 5 of us, you know, happened because of college, like either directly or by association. The friendship forum, the shared passion Nintendo, it all made probably this iteration of Random Nintendo the most fun, certainly the longest lasting iteration by a long shot. And I think it's the one that created, you know, I know it's the one that created so many amazing opportunities for us as a group to go to events, to try games we wouldn't have otherwise tried, to just sort of be in this bubble of nerdy Nintendo-dom together. And it's been really fun. And it was possible, again, because of everyone who tuned into the episodes. You know, this episode, any episode, watched our vidbits when we used to do those on YouTube, read our extra articles when we wrote those on the site. You know, knowing that there's guys and gals out there hearing it, you know, receiving responses from people on Twitter or in YouTube comments or reviews on podcast services, you know, having people play along with our jokes and bits from the show back at us on social. Like, it really is just really rewarding. And it's been, I feel like I'm like doing a eulogy, but it's been a privilege to be able to like create this show, to have a receptive group of listeners for like a decade. So before I get too sappy, I think it's too late, but was there anything, Angel, Kevin, you guys might want to say too, since we're kind of at the 10-year mark right here, right now?
Well, I'm going to definitely repeat the sentiment that Jason put up, but like 100%
wow.
No, yours already had a lot of heart.
Yeah, no, I was saying wow is like, that's a lot of super heart, like 1,000%.
But yeah, I mean, thank you to everyone. I mean, honestly, like for the longest time, like I know, like in the beginning, like especially because, you know, I came in for the revamp of Random Nintendo, and at that time, like it really was like just for fun. Like, I think I almost made it a point to myself early on to not worry myself with who's listening, where that's coming from. Like, I was just doing the podcast, and that's, like, where that ended. But I don't think it was until, like, a couple episodes in where I think we started hitting, like, some specific milestones that it started to become kind of real. Just kind of surreal that, like, wow, like, people are not only actually listening, but they're actually enjoying the content. And it definitely changed my perspective on how I looked at the show for a while. And it's humbling to know that without a lot of marketing, pretty much doing the bare minimum amount of marketing, because, you know, like, again, like we're doing this mainly for fun. Like, we're not monetizing this. We're not like, I mean, we used to post on Reddit.
They shadow banned us.
But
true story.
Multiple times. Yeah. But, you know, like for the most part, like the fact that we have the like the loyal followership that we have today, like it's not as big as like some other ones, but for what we do and how we promote it, I like to think it's pretty impressive. And again, very humbling. So thank you for that.
How long was the hiatus?
I wrapped it up middle of freshman year of college, and we started it November after we graduated college, almost 4. So it was basically starting from scratch. I mean, there's some people that like, you know, followed me on Twitter or whatever and knew who I like. Oh, it's that guy. But like, it was basically starting from. You know? I see. So it's crazy that we're here now. And Kevin, I don't know if there's anything you want to add, cover, but the floor is yours if you wish.
No, just like a huge thank you to you guys for like allowing me to be the third chair, and then like a big thank you to like the listeners for, I guess, lack of a better word, accepting me. You know, it's tough being the new person on such an established podcast. Like, you guys were doing it for 8 years. I've only been here for 2. But, yeah.
But what a 2. What a 2 it was. I feel like thank yous are one thing, but we got to give all those thank yous a little extra oomph. So to show our collective appreciation for the last 10 years, we're giving away a magnitude of 100 in eShop credits, $100, and we're coming to wherever you are. So this is how it's going to work. Every 2 weeks from now through the end of the year, we will be giving away eShop cash in a different spot. So for this episode, you can leave a comment on the blog post telling us your favorite Nintendo moment of the past decade for a chance to win one of 2 $20 eShop credits. All you need to do is comment. Then in early December, we'll be giving away 2 additional $20 eShop credits on Twitter if you follow us at Ram Nintendo and retweet a designated tweet, which will show up in early December, so keep an eye out for that. And then in late December, we'll be doing another single $20 credit giveaway to our YouTube subscriber base. So if you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, ramnintendo.com, all one word, no space, you'll automatically be entered. It's as simple as that. We have a YouTube channel. We post all these. See, this is why we're trying to get people to subscribe. We post every episode in audio form on YouTube, as well as, wait, Elvis, you know we have a YouTube channel. You have a vidbit on there from when you were still more on the show regularly. You and Angel played Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze together.
No, I know about the vidbits, but I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. We've been doing it for a while, both Nintendo and non-Nintendo. So, yeah, so if you subscribe, Elvis, if you subscribe on there, even though there's a conflict of interest and you actually can't win, but if you subscribe on there, you're automatically be entered. So, true. But yes, that's 5. So that's 5 prizes that can be won in 3 different ways that maybe Nigel and Elvis will try and finesse in their favor. Again, it all starts right now by commenting on this blog post for this episode 268 on ramtown.com. Then again, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube for all those other opportunities. And while you're at it, subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app so you make sure you don't miss a thing. And as is tradition for every episode since we started, we now are going to list off all the podcast apps. So there's Apple Podcasts, there's Google Podcasts, there's Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Amazon Music, Spotify. It might be it. Podbean. There's like so many now. That list has gotten exponentially longer since we first started. But you can find us on all those. Thank you again, Nigel, Elvis, for joining us for this episode. And thank you again to the listeners for listening. And that does it for the show. So as is also tradition, Kevin, you have the final word.
Do another 10 years.